Right, it looks like we're all set up on Zoom and Facebook. So again, welcome and thank you all for joining us today. If you're just now joining us, we do love to hear from you, so feel free to jump in the chat box on Zoom and say hello and let us know where you're from. And if you're joining us today on Facebook, welcome. We're so glad to have you join us. Feel free to jump in the comment section and say hello to us. We're going to get started in just about 1 minute. All right, I have 12:15, so we're going to get started. I want to give Layne as much time as possible to share his wealth of information. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, I want to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today for our webinar using assistive technology as a behavior support. Thank you for taking time to join us and learn from this information. So just to share a little bit about you, my name is Stephanie McLaughlin. I am the Training and Evaluation Specialist with Partners Resource Network. Partners Resource Network is the nonprofit agency that operates the Texas statewide network of parent training and information centers. We are funded through the Department of Education Office of Special Education Programs. Throughout Texas, we have 4 projects known as PACT, TEAM, and TEAM. Our mission here at Partners Resource Network is to empower and support Texas families and individuals impacted by disabilities or special healthcare needs. And also joining me today from Partners Resource Network is our Director of Statewide Services, Christina Henning, our Support Specialist, Chelsea Rivas, and our Technology Specialist, Zach Hidalgo. If you're having any technical difficulties today, please reach out to Zach in the chat box, and he will assist you with those. For those of you that are needing a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you will be receiving an email to thank you for joining the webinar today. If you follow a link in that email, you can get your certificate of attendance. We will have a question and answer time at the end of the presentation. So if you're joining us on Zoom, please type your questions in the Q&A box and we'll be sure and get those. And if you're joining us on Facebook today, you can type your questions in the comments. We are recording today's webinar and the recording will be available on our website at prntexas.org as well as our Facebook page. So let's get to it. Today's guest speaker is Layne Pethick. Layne is an autism spectrum disorder and behavior consultant for Region 10 Education Service Center. Layne has a Ph.D. in business organization leadership with an MBA and a master's degree in special education with a concentration in autism spectrum disorder, emotional behavioral disorders, and human behavior, along with degrees in elementary education, early childhood education, and reading. Layne has experience as a general and special education teacher, a school administrator, district trainer, program director, and in higher education as a professor of special education, assessment, early childhood, and teacher education. He has had several articles published, and he presents at local, state, national, and international conferences. He has and continues to work with various countries in the areas of education and special education, including Mexico, Hong Kong, Canada, Vietnam, and all across the United States. Layne, welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm going to stop sharing and let you share and take it away.
All right, well, good afternoon. It is afternoon finally. This day seems to like it's dragged on already. Let me just get my stuff pulled up and share it and we'll get started. For those of you out in Zoom land, I hope you can see everything I got. I'm just shrinking stuff down because Zoom has all these boxes that pop up. So I can see where I'm at. I need to shrink stuff down. So always good to hang out with PRN and do our stuff and talk about things. And I will tell everybody today we're going to talk about assistive technology and behavior. And if you ever thought you'd hear those two things put together in a training, you're probably like me. No. When they asked, can you talk about this? I was like, yeah, I mean, Assistive tech is awesome and behavior is awesome. I will be honest, I didn't realize how much I actually use assistive technology and behavior till I sat down and actually, took time to think about it. And so I ever tell everybody, we're going to talk about assistive tech, behavior, and how they come together. My whole thing with you guys, I'm just going to share thoughts and ideas. We're always looking for ways to help out, especially with the behavior world. And with behavior, it's kind of all the rage again. We're seeing it everywhere. There's new types of behaviors coming out, all these things. Everybody needs help. And so it kind of merges a couple of my favorite topics. And so any questions, comments, whatever you have towards the end, I tell people when it comes to questions, I will do my best to answer them, but I may not have an answer for you. But I'll do the best I can. I want to start by saying it is a good day for a good day. It's raining outside, which is snow and rainy days are two of my favorite types of days. I have my coffee, which is vitally important to me functioning through the day. And it's just kind of weird to hear my kind of professional life read out. It's just, I don't know, it seems weird. So with that weirdness aside, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So to start with, what is assistive technology? It's not a hard thing to define. So assistive technology is super easy to talk about and easy to look at. Problem with assistive tech is finding a fit for whatever child's needs are or the person's needs are. And so just a quick little beginning to all of this is, what is assistive tech? This is probably the basic thing I could find and the basic way I could look at describing what assistive technology is. It's just an item, piece of equipment, software, some sort of product that we use to help increase, maintain, or improve the functional abilities of a person. It helps enhance my learning, my working, and just daily living all around. And so in regards to that, it's pretty interesting. What can it look like? We all know that there can be low-tech versions, high-tech versions. None of this is really new to anybody. Assistive tech, though, it's interesting. The more we move into the technology world we live in, when you say assistive tech, people think it's got to be the new gadget or that new technology that just came out. It's not always the latest and greatest. It's just what's the greatest for the child and what they need. And it can be simple and easy, as much as like a schedule or a picture that they can interact with, or some sort of format like that. Or it can be something I'll show you that we invented for a kiddo years ago. To help with deep breathing when their emotions were getting out of control. So it can be a lot of things to a lot of people. I just tell people, we just make good decisions for each individual child. It doesn't always have to be the latest and greatest technology for it to work well. Some of my favorite human beings I've gotten to work with in my career in regards to assistive tech, I will say, because behavior and where we sit with behavior, my speech language people always get high props on this to help with assistive tech ideas and things for the language and communication side. OTs, PTs, even parents and teachers helping us figure out what we need to do with our kiddos. So, we can take a look. This is kind of what it looks like, things that we can consider. Believe it or not, in the behavior world, if I have time towards the end, I will share how wheelchairs, AFOs, and arm crutches were actually a benefit to one of my kiddos' emotional behavioral health. He's the one who taught me 28 years ago how even something you don't think is going to be a benefit to behavior actually is. And I found out that AFOs and arm crutches were a huge benefit to behavior for one of my kiddos. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about this stuff. We've talked about assistive tech real quick, kind of looked at what it is, kind of what we can do with it, things that are out there. So next up is what we deal with is behavior. And so this is my area. I love behavior. I love human behavior. I love everything about behavior. Human behavior is just fascinating to me. My background the last 20 years is I've been doing brain research on how the brain learns, how the brain behaves, autism, ADD, ADHD, all that fun stuff, mental health, trauma. And it's amazing what the human brain is capable of and how we need to look at different ways to intervene with the human brain, especially in the area of behavior. So I'm going to cover some things with behavior real quick, and then we're going to tie that assistive tech and that behavior together. We're going to marry them together and take a look at some things and why assistive tech is important to help us with behavior and emotional outcomes. And so here's something I need you to think about. I just want you all to think about this statement, and I will read it because technology is funny. I never know on Zoom who gets to see things and not see things. So I'm going to read this and just add your thoughts about this into the chat if you don't mind. I'm going to take about a minute. We're going to read this, take a minute, add your thoughts into this, however you feel, just so I can see kind of where everybody's at. So something to think about. Stop worrying about punishing them for their anger. They are already being punished by their anger. So when it comes to behavior, I just want to put that in there, and just in chat, if you don't mind, just type in your thoughts. I'm going to actually pull the chat box up and read what y'all are typing. Unless I got a shy group today and nobody wants to type anything. Thank you, Rose. Roseanne. Oh, I like that. Bethany. I'm going to take this opportunity to drink some coffee too. So if you have coffee, absolutely take some. God, diverting attention. So I just wanted to kind of see your thoughts and how you felt about this, but it is something to think about. Behavior has its own functions. All human behavior has a function for what we're avoiding, needing, wanting, all that stuff. And behavior communicates. And so, these are things to take a look at. I have another slide here. You can comment on it if you want, but this is also something that we see a lot of too, is when it comes to behavior, many people still rely heavily on trial and error. And for many, it's heavy on the error. Sometimes what we're doing is we're not taking the time to see the why behind the behavior. What is it? What is the function of that behavior? And why is the child needing that function for that behavior to get or to avoid what they need to avoid? I tell people the brain research in behavior is absolutely off the charts right now. And it gives us a whole new perspective on how we need to start looking at human behavior. I do not have time to dive deep into that in this training because I only got you here for like another half hour, 45 minutes. But I'll try and hit some of it if I get a second and try to explain how human behavior works in our brain, so that you can understand now, couple that with a lack of ability to communicate, my lack of ability to be mobile and to be around in my world, and how those issues will compound the very thing my brain is trying to deal with. And so that's why when you look at it, assistive tech is really super important to what we're doing in behavior. And so here's something I give people, and I've been sharing with people quite a bit. A lot of people really just don't know how to decipher the complex language of human behavior. I've always viewed human behavior as its own complex language. If you don't know how to decipher it or speak it, then we struggle with it. And so what happens is when we don't know how to decipher the complex language of behavior, we tend to just look at what it looks like. Stop the punching, stop the hitting, stop the throwing, stop the spitting, stop the swearing. We're just wanting to stop what it looks like. Problem is stopping what it looks like actually doesn't help deal with where it's coming from. And so there's a lot of antiquated theories and therapies we still utilize. There's box programs, and there's a lot of poor data collection. And that kind of interferes with how we're dealing with the language and the behavior. So that's a whole training aside on its own on how to look at it. But when you look at human behavior and how it forms in the human brain, I want to give you something to ponder and something to think about. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the next slide, and the same thing as before, just take a look at it and read the captions that are on it. And then you can add your comments into the chat so I can see what your thought processes are on this. So I'll let you take a look at this on your own. I'll read it here in a minute. So what this says is if behavior is communication and our emotional brain will wreak havoc with the logical, rational, and major cognitive areas of our brain, then don't we all need some sort of assistive tech at times to help us communicate and regulate when we're having emotional behavioral struggles? Because it isn't just having a disability. When all human beings, when your emotion and your behavior is high, your logic, your reasoning, your cognitive stores are decreased. And we all work at a deficit when behavior and emotions are high. And so having even assistive tech for all of us when we're having those high emotions in life is a benefit. And so I tell people this is where in the behavior world, it's not just about being in special ed or having special needs. In the behavior world, pretty much the way we look at it, or the way I've seen it, especially with the brain studies we've had, we all could benefit from some sort of assistive tech to help us through some of those tougher times, those struggling times, those high emotional times. And so those are just things that I just needed you to think about. And I'll give you about 20, 30 seconds to add something in the chat. I'm going to pull up the chat box here and take a look. But it's like we all might need some assistive tech at times in life when it comes to behavior. We do all need regulation. We all at times need help with our own regulation. So Bethany, you're exactly right. And regulation, we all need help to remember what to do. There's visuals. I know for a fact, I work with adults that like adults with just who struggle with emotional times in their lives, that there's a picture reminder on their phone that reminds them to breathe. That picture reminder on your phone is actually assistive technology helping you remember. There's an app called Calm. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it's a really cool app about mindfulness and being able to calm down. But it has visuals on there to help you remember how to breathe, to bring your behavior and emotions down too. So it's everywhere for us. And so it's an interesting thing. And like you said, I had a great topic. Someone made a comment here, but things go by so quick, it's hard to read. Learning skills and stuff can be a struggle when you have huge emotions. Exactly. And so I know right now, somebody mentioned in there something about PTSD, depression, and anxiety. That's true. There's a lot of assistive tech type of interventions in those areas that have the major impact on the brain. So awesome chat. Appreciate you guys. Fantastic. I love it. So let me get my screen back in order here. So before we go on with assistive tech and behavior, what I'd like to do is take a look at how the brain does behavior. It's an interesting thing when you look at brain research and our brains and how they do behavior. I didn't put a slide in for this. I wasn't sure if I'd have a whole lot of time to talk about it, but I think I can squeeze it in. I'm going to give you guys like a 3-minute therapy session. How does that sound? And so what it is if you take a look at our brain, there's kind of our brain, when we look at behavior and we're looking at it through the research on the brain and behavior, there's kind of 4 levels to the brain. And I'm sure you've seen this because there's been a couple books written on it. There's been studies written on it. There's been people looking at it in more detail, but there's like our brain stem, the midbrain, the limbic system, and up at the very top is the cortex. So it's kind of like a 4-layer system. What we need to understand is my behavior comes from memories that were stored in the lower part of my brain, that when these behaviors were created, that's what they're attached to. So these memories get stored and they stay in that lower part of my brain until someone helps me kind of pull them out and process them to my cortex. The cool thing about the cortex is it's what makes us uniquely human. The cortex is the part of the brain that actually makes us human beings. The cortex is cool too, because it's the only part of the human brain that can tell time. Telling time is vital for me to change my behavior. Telling time in the fact of like not 1:15 or 1:25 or, oh, it's 7 a.m. I got to get up for work. When I talk about telling time and changing behavior, it's my ability to think in past, present, and future terms, and how to do that timeline delineation. Because what happens is the memories that my behaviors are attached to get stored first, because our brain is bottom up. Everything comes into the bottom. All of my sensory input, all my internal feelings and all that stuff is the interoception is all coming in, and it gets stored from the bottom up. When I create those memories, that creates my behavior. They're stored in that emotional part, that bottom part of my brain, which is just emotional. I feel it and I react to it. I feel it, I react to it. I can't process it yet. I can't think about it yet. And so what has to happen is I have to have a way that when my behavior hasn't been very good, someone can come in, work with me on it, talk to me about it, because the more you talk to me about my behavior, when I'm calm and when you're calm, the more I start dealing with that behavior, pulling those memories out, and then I can eventually get it up to my cortex where I can process it and timestamp it. And I can think about, okay, back when these behaviors formed, these behaviors were adaptive to me. They helped me. Now they're not adaptive anymore. They're more maladaptive. They don't serve any purpose other than making everybody mad around me. But I never realized that they were maladaptive. I was just still trying to get what I needed to get. I was still trying to avoid what I needed to avoid. And so it's that kind of way to think about the human brain. Now think about, in order to change human behavior, we got to get those memories and those behaviors up to that cortex to be processed. That's a lot of work. And now couple that on someone who has lower communication ability and even lower mobility issues, which can cause themselves behavior issues in their own right. And so you couple that like that. That's why assistive technology is so vital for a lot of our kids to help with behavior. It allows better communication. It allows me to better communicate with others, to discuss those things or to understand those things so I can start getting it processed where I need to get processed. Just a fun fact on the sidebar, if you start working on changing my behavior, you introduce new behaviors, you talk to me about my behaviors, it roughly takes, depending on my emotional area, my behavior, the severity, the trauma, the cognitive issues, it can take anywhere from 5,000 to about 10 to 15,000 interactions before I start actually understanding fully and start making those changes more independently. That's why behavior is a marathon, not a sprint. If it takes that many times, think about how important assistive tech is going to be to us to help those times be more valuable, to be more internalizing, to help parts of my brain understand it better. That is why assistive tech is absolutely, you put AT and behavior together, you tend to get amazing outcomes on the back end. And so I need my volunteers. I've already asked them ahead of time because I didn't realize I was going to ask the whoever's out there in Zoom land to volunteer for me. Problem is I forgot you're all in a panel format for this. So I'm going to ask my volunteers to just show why communication is so important for behavior. So if I could get 2 or 3 of you or 3 of you, if I could, to volunteer. I think I already asked you guys ahead of time. Stephanie, Christina, Chelsea. Not that I'm calling you out by name or anything.
Sure, no, not at all.
So, all right, you're gonna help demonstrate some of this. So everybody else, I have never done this over Zoom, ever. You're the first group of human beings I've tried this over Zoom. So yes, it's called How Was Your Weekend? So here's what I want each of you ladies who are helping me, the 3 of you, what I want you to do right now is just give me a sentence, just in a good, proper sentence, what you did this past weekend. So whoever wants to go first, just go ahead.
Stephanie, you first. All right. This weekend, I learned a lot of things in our conference at church.
Awesome. All right, who's next? Christina?
I don't know if she actually froze or if she's pretending.
She froze.
Okay.
All right, Chelsea, you're next.
This weekend, I got to spend time with my grandbaby, which is always wonderful.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Has Christina unfroze yet?
Apparently her electricity at her house just went out.
Oh no, I was gonna do that same excuse as like, oh, electricity went out. No. So I just got 2 volunteers in. So all right, my 2 volunteers, very good work. I appreciate you telling me what you did this past weekend. Now we're gonna change it. Now you're gonna think about what you want to do this upcoming weekend. So think about this upcoming weekend. And I want you to tell me in a sentence what you're going to do this upcoming weekend, but you cannot use any words with letter R, S, or T in them. Go.
I
Stephanie?
plan on sleeping.
Oh, that is an S. Doesn't count.
Oh,
Stephanie, you got anything?
I will nap.
Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think ahead to spring break. That week off we get for spring break, or hopefully people get a week off. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to tell me in a sentence what you plan on doing for spring break, but you are not allowed to use words with letters R, S, or T, L, M, and P. Go. And hurry up because I want to get to lunch and recess. And we only have to 1:15 for this, so hurry up. No words with R, S, T, L, M, P.
you had me until L. Like that's
So in lieu of time, I'm going to stop my 2 awesome volunteers there. Ladies, I appreciate it. I thank you very much, but I'm going to ask you a couple of things about this activity. Here's the question I have. When I was asking you those questions about what you want to do this upcoming weekend, what you want to do for spring break, in your mind, did you know what you wanted to say?
Yes.
Yes. So, but because I put constraints on your communication, I kind of did things to make your communication more difficult. How did it feel when you were asked or put on the spot to tell me a sentence?
It was a little stressful. I was trying to figure out how to say read, but you can't use R. And so yeah, it was stressful. You could feel like a little anxiety coming, and
I could not for the life of me think of a way to say, travel, vacation, like without R those, like that was, yeah. It's like
And so I just gave these 2 ladies I hindered your ability to communicate, which in just a quick few minutes caused your anxiety to rise, when your anxiety rises, your cognition dips. And so you start, the more you have your anxiety goes up, the harder it is to think about how you're going to do this. And so I bring that up as an activity, and anyone in Zoom land who's listening, you can feel free to use this activity with people if you like. I don't have a toehold on this activity. It's just a good one to make people understand. Even if you don't take care of my communication in life, if I don't have the ability to communicate even simple things, it eventually builds up. Now imagine this is actually some of our children who are in classes every day for 7 hours a day, sitting in our schools for 7-8 hours a day. This is how hard it is for them to get through the day when they're needing to communicate something in school. And if I don't have proper communication outlets, communication devices, communication ways, that pressure and that stress just builds. And it can lead into, if I don't already have behavior, it can actually lead into behavior and emotional problems later on. And so I'm trying to get people to think it isn't just about, I have behavior right now, do something to help me. These are also kiddos that don't have quote unquote behavior or emotional issues right now, but this is where their struggle is. And it can eventually lead into something that's emotional and behavioral driven. just because of the frustration and embarrassment even sometimes that comes from it. So just some things to think about why assistive tech can be absolutely valuable. My speech people, if I got in my speech people in here, that's why you are, when it comes to kiddos, even if it's just speech only, realize that that speech only can turn into something much bigger if we don't have the proper interventions and devices or things that help me with my communication. Because again, since behavior pretty much is communication, we see how even a lack of communication can build into behaviors also. So just a fun activity. Ladies, absolutely appreciate you for helping me out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So assistive tech can and does assist us with communication needs. But it's interesting when it looks at, have you ever thought about mobility and access? It was interesting because this was something, I will have to admit, it was my third year of teaching. I was teaching pre-KK. I had a young man in there who came in a wheelchair. He came in, I had him for 2 years. First year he was in a wheelchair and his behaviors were not the greatest. He had a habit of kind of like the only time he'd move his wheelchair is to find something to throw at people. It was fantastic. Like it was just amazing the things he could find. But it was interesting because we worked with him and there was behavior. They did an FBA on him and they did all this stuff with him. They did all this kind of stuff. We kind of looked at different things. He was a sweet kid. He was a smart kid. It's just he had CP and he struggled. And the mobility issue we realized is where the behaviors were stemming from. His frustration, he would even say, I'm frustrated. I get frustrated when I can't just go get this or do this. Or when someone gets, he says, he told me one time, because he had a habit of running into the back of kids' heels or back of your legs. And I'd be like, why are you doing that? He's like, I'm frustrated because once I get going, when you stop and I got to stop, it's hard for me to go again. I get frustrated, I get angry, I get upset. And it was interesting. But something interesting happened as that year went on. It was an interesting look at how even something assistive tech wise as AFOs and arm crutches, which is what he ended up getting by towards the end of that school year. He ended up getting those and we were working with him on those. He was having a hard time. He was falling a lot. But he was happier. And I still remember speaking to his mom. His mom came in tears. She was crying because she's like, he keeps falling. He's struggling so much. And he just struggles with his leg braces and his crutches. And she goes, do we just take him off and put him back in a wheelchair? And I'm like, well, why don't we talk to him? And she goes, I said, but ma'am, what I've noticed is he's happier. And it was interesting because his behavior subsided. He wasn't doing some of the same behaviors. He wasn't doing some of the same things. And like I said, he was an extremely bright kid. So the following year he came back, I had him for a second year and he was starting to rock and roll with his supports and his assistive tech he had. And he finally said, he's like, I like that I can do more. I don't have to wait for someone to help. I don't have to be embarrassed because I can't and I got to have someone come do it for me. And his behaviors were kind of wrapped up in that, he felt embarrassed. It wasn't that he was angry. Everybody thought he was angry because he was throwing things and he'd get frustrated and scream and holler or whatever. It was embarrassment. And it was interesting to sit with him because it's like, you wouldn't think, yes, being more mobile absolutely is fantastic. But that physical adaptation for him, that assistive tech that's physical for him, did more for his emotional piece than anything else. And he became like, he's one of the coolest kids I ever met. He's probably well into his 30s now. Not that I'm dating myself, but I tell people I still have a letter right over here on my shelf from him and his mom that they wrote to me years later. And it's interesting, as I did this training and I was putting it together, I was on this particular slide and I happened to look up and I remember that letter, and it's actually dated, it's dated December 12th, 1998. And it's a nice letter from him and his mom. And it's pretty cool because I don't know, I never ever thought the life I've lived in the world of behavior, we use assistive tech all the time in what we do. I've just never looked at it together like this before, which made me even more excited to come and do something like this for everybody and talk about it, because it is awesome. It's awesome to see how assistive tech can play a major part in helping us with kiddos deal with and work through some of those emotional issues and some of those behavior issues that we wouldn't even think of otherwise. So to end off my talk to you today, because I'm trying to kind of stay on time with you all, so you can have some time to put questions in chat and try and confuse me as best you can. Just some ideas. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. It's just some of the things that I got to work with, things that helped us with the behavior side of the world for our kids. Some of them were simple and easy. Some of them were a little more involved. But I'm going to share them with you and show you some pictures, show you some ideas, just to see if it might be able to help you maybe today, or if you got a kid you're struggling with now. If you're a parent, you're trying to figure out what to do at home. Maybe something I show you today gives you an idea and you can do something right away. Or maybe a few years down the road, you find yourself faced with an issue and you remember something you saw today. So that's kind of what I want for today. I just want to share things with you and talk to you about how looking at how things combine for better outcomes for our kids and assistive tech combined with behavior is fantastic. And so these are some of the things. It's just a list, but I'd rather just jump right in. One of my favorites, and I'm not going to lie, was the stoplights. It sounds funny. People think about this kind of stuff with behavior all the time. You know, those weird old clip charts we used to use? What a horrible things those were. But we didn't use it as a clip chart. We actually taught not just one, but several of our kiddos to use like a traffic light system for anywhere from how you're feeling right now to how are your emotions while I'm talking to you through this lesson, or while we're trying to go through this activity. How are your emotions right now? I started teaching 32 years ago, so we had record players, if that helps. And if you're looking at me right now thinking, what's a record player? Look it up, Google it. We didn't have anything electronic like this, so we made our own. And it was interesting because I actually got creative one year. It was a lot of work, probably more than I should have put into it. But I found like clear red, clear yellow, clear green transparencies, and I made a stop sign, and the kiddo could turn a flashlight on at which level they were for understanding, for how they were feeling and everything else. And I used it with a lot of my kids who were nonverbal, a lot of my kiddos who struggled with communication. And it was a quick gauge. And I would even ask, Jose, how are you feeling? And he could click on the button for yellow, which meant, I'm okay, but I'm starting to struggle a bit. And so we taught them what each color kind of meant and how they feel for each color. And it's helped us with that communication piece for emotions. These are now remote control, everybody. You can get some really cool, cheap ones that are remote control in the button system. And if they can push a button, they can tell you, red, I am not doing well. My emotions are like, whoo, yellow or green, cool, calm, life is good. We're on easy street. So we used it as emotions. We used it for understanding. I also taught all the other kids in my class how to pay attention to it, because one of my other kiddos, she had the stop sign on her wheelchair, and she could push we had like a little poker chip, even though we didn't play poker in pre-K and K. That didn't come until third grade. I'm just kidding. So we had a little poker chip that she used to like, and she would push it on the traffic light on how she was feeling. And it was interesting because when they were in centers, my kids would, make sure she was where she needed to be. They'd help wheel her to the center. And then they'd all learned how to ask her, are you doing okay? How are you feeling? And she could push the poker chip to tell her group how she was feeling. And then the group could adjust. If it was red, the group would ask if she needed Mr. Pethick, and she could tell them, she could nod her head. Or if it was yellow, they're like, can we do something? So it was interesting because in regards to her emotional health and her behavior health, it allowed her peers to be more involved with her being able to communicate those things. So a million ways you can use that system, a million ways, both high tech and low tech. But I just wanted to share a couple of ideas that we used it with. So if anybody ever wants to brainstorm ideas, absolutely love trying to figure out new ways to do stuff. So we had the Big Mac system or a button system for some of our kiddos too. We kind of used it as the same purpose. How are you feeling? Are you doing okay? Just kind of a check-in system for emotion and behavior. One of my kiddos, he was one of my, I mean, they're all my favorites. I say this in every training I do, but they were all my favorites. Julio, I'll never forget, because I got Julio in and he was in my kindergarten class and he was in a wheelchair that year also. And he had the Big Mac system. And we taught him, he had like 3 of them lined up in front of him at any given time, the red, the green, and we used blue as you had like a question or there was something he wanted to get more information on. But the red we taught him just to, he would bang his hand down on it if he was upset about something, something's bothering him. And I'll never forget one day he just kept banging it and banging it and banging it and banging it. And you could see in his face something was wrong. And it was interesting because it allowed him to help us understand what is going on. And we may not fully understand yet. We may not fully understand what is happening down in there, but it allowed us to check. And it was something internal. He actually ended up being in the hospital for 2 weeks because something was wrong inside. And it was creating this discomfort for him. And that system allowed him to get that out. And I always think about that. If we didn't have anything like that for him, we wouldn't have known. Like it could have been a possibility he sat there all day and just looking outward in or from us on the outside, it may look like he's just being, belligerent. He doesn't want to do it. He's being difficult, whatever other terms we tend to use. And it was something deeper than that and more involved in that and what we were thinking in regards to, just the typical behavior issues that pop up. So that's where even assistive tech has played a benefit to some of our kids. So you can see some of the experiences I've got to have. And please understand when I tell you, I may have used these with kids, but it took a team of us to figure out good ways to take assistive tech to have better behavior and emotional outcomes for our kids. The OTs I worked with, speech, even paraprofessionals, my paraprofessionals and I would figure out things and how to do things and brainstorm things together to see how to get any kind of assistive tech or anything that can assist the kiddo to get that their communication out to us and what's needed. So stopwatches, a lot of these we used a lot just to, okay, you're getting ramped up, your emotions are high, your behavior's high. Let's set a timer and just, you got time to calm down and relax. But I need to know how long I got. So that we have all different kinds of timers nowadays. That stopwatch I put in there, we rigged up a stopwatch that had like a big kind of cloth band around it that one of our kiddos he was fairly cognitively involved and his behaviors were rough. He had behaviors and it was a difficult go trying to figure things out for him. But he loved the stopwatch. And so what we did is when he was starting to you could tell he had those visuals that those little micro expressions he would give that you could notice that something was about to go not in a good place for him. The behaviors were coming up and we weren't able to find the function fully of why he was doing things yet. So we knew that when he had time to breathe and get away, he could calm himself down pretty well. And so he wanted the stopwatch, but he kept holding it on his wrist. He wanted to wear it because I wore watches every day and he always wanted me to put my watch on his wrist. And so we took the stopwatch and put a big cloth band around it. So it kind of sat on his wrist and he would set the timer and we taught him how to use his stopwatch so he could learn how to get himself down. So there's all kinds of stuff you can look at, even simple things like that allow us to help kids even process through and get through some higher emotional times in their life. So it was really cool. I still think about that cloth band. We had it looped in and kind of duct taped underneath the stopwatch so it didn't come off. Because sometimes actually when it wasn't on that cloth band, that stopwatch could come flying at your head every now and then too. So it actually prevented that from happening anymore also. So, win-win for us. Now, I will talk about picture cues, picture systems, communication systems that use pictures. Pictures are our friend. when all of us human beings are ramped up emotion wise, pictures are the way to go for the human brain. Stop talking. Like just, I tell people, my favorite thing to tell people, when behavior is escalated, you have no lines in this play. Like you need to stop talking and we need to stay calm and we need to give the brain a cue as to what's going on and how to come out of it. And so I tell people, I will be the first one to tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of the old Mayor Johnson pictures, which we tend to find on certain programs. I'm a big fan with brain research. I need real pictures. If you want my brain to process something quicker, it's got to be a real picture. The brain thrives on the reality behind the picture system you have in order for the communication and understanding to get in quicker. The more abstract the picture, the weirder the picture, the more cumbersome the picture, the less understanding and the longer it's going to take to process. So I tell people, we have technology. We have tons of technology today. Take real pictures. We would actually get permission from parents just to be safe. I'm not sure if, we'd take pictures of the kiddo with his mad face or her mad face, sad face, happy face. And we would actually, because sometimes, especially if with cognitive issues or with very young children, I don't actually know what the feeling is I'm having right now. I just know I'm losing it. I don't know to attach anger to it. I don't know to attach happy or sad to it. And if I can see a picture that you took of me with that face and you tell me what that is, or you work with me on it ahead of time, that picture system now can become that thing of helping me understand what I'm going through. There's a lot of things out there for like temperature check type of things. Where are you on the thermometer as far as feelings, behavior, emotions, things like that. There's a million of them out there. Utilize what the kid enjoys the most. Usually with temperature checks or things like that, depending on the age or the cognitive ability or the interest level, put it into something that they're interested in, that they're going to pay attention to. If I can see a picture of me when I'm angry, or I can see a picture of me when I'm needing to be happy, it helps me process it better. So taking pictures of, I know I'm in a bad way, I'm not doing well, but you show me a picture saying, hey, this is what we want you to get to. And you show me a picture of myself smiling and being happy, that actually registers into my brain quicker. And so those are some little pieces of advice to give you. Back in my day, 30 some years ago, we had to beg, borrow, and steal Polaroid film for Polaroid pictures. So we just did the best we could. Nowadays, it's incredible the things we can take pictures, you can get real pictures, you can do all kinds of stuff. There's already pre-made stuff you can adjust or alternate depending on each kiddo. So there's a lot of things out there in regards to those visual systems, those visual communication systems, even things like a schedule. I will tell you right now, if I'm struggling with behavior and emotion, a daily schedule is one of my best friends because it helps me understand and predict my day and helps me understand, especially in those high emotional times, that schedule is actually one of your best allies. Because when my emotions are up, my brain does not process time anymore. It doesn't process what comes next anymore. It just processes that we're in a hot mess, and this hot mess is a hot mess. Whereas if I can look up and I can see where I'm at in my day, that helps me understand where I'm at and where I need to go. So I tell people visual schedules are important. By the way, majority of growing adults use visual schedules. I have a calendar. I have a thing on my phone. There's a lot of people that if you didn't run a schedule, you'd never know where you're supposed to be each day. You do that because it keeps your anxieties down. When you know and predict your days, your anxieties stay down. So a low-tech assistive tech device is literally a daily schedule, especially if I have a lot of behavior and emotional issues. The able to predict my day is huge. So just something to consider with that also, which is why in the autism world didn't invent daily schedules, but they use them the most because the autistic brain, how it develops early on, carries a mental health level of anxiety with it. And so I got 3-4 years of that before I hit school, then school just adds more anxiety to it. So the more I can predict my day, the more I can see what goes on, the lower my stress and anxiety comes, which now can help lessen behavior, dissipate emotional outbursts and things like that. So that's why A low-tech assistive tech device, such as a daily schedule, is fantastic. So just some things to consider. And I know I got to stop talking. These are some high-tech, some low-tech, some visuals. The laser pen, laser pointers, the head mechanisms we can get for kiddos in wheelchairs is just, it's insane what we can get them to do nowadays. Dynavoxes. I dealt with the early stages of Dynavoxes, and now I see the new ones and, you know, other types of communication devices. Absolutely incredible. The only thing I ask is whatever communication you put on there, make sure it's taught to me and I understand it. Sometimes I see just like 100 things thrown onto a program and the kid only knows how to do one or two. Help me understand what these things are and what they mean and how to communicate with them. So high tech is great, but it can also sometimes be a hindrance when we have too much too soon. Low tech and high tech need to be paired because batteries run out and electricity goes out. And so sometimes the low tech backup is a good thing to have also, because it helps alleviate what behaviors may come when I can't communicate anymore. So just some information on that. One of my slides I put together, just some ideas on this is more the emotional side, which behavior and emotions, they're hand in hand, they're together. Reminders on even how to breathe. Like our favorite was smell a flower, blow out a candle. And so it'd be like, but telling a kid when I'm starting to escalate, telling any human being when it's starting to escalate, sometimes just makes us even more upset. So give me a visual. Remember, smell the flower, blow out the candle. Remember to do that when you're getting that place, and it's just visual reminders. The tongue depressor, elastic bands, and feather was probably one of the, I don't even know if you want to admit that it'd be part of assistive tech. One of our kiddos, he loved feathers. Mom and dad used to bring a bag of feathers. He liked the touch of them, the sensory input that feathers gave him. And so, you know, Pears and I, whenever we had a chance, we just kind of put a feather around. He used to love to, like, we'd hold it and he'd try and blow on it. He could see it move and he'd giggle. And so it was interesting because he also had a lot of emotional difficulties, a lot of behavior difficulties, and he'd get really go from like 0 to high emotion very, very fast. We noticed though that when he could breathe through things, he did much better. So we found he loved tongue depressors because he'd go to the nurse a lot because of his health issues, and he'd love to play with their tongue depressors. He just he didn't have great motoric function, but he had enough that he could play, and he'd flip it around. He'd get a couple of them banging together. Like, he just loved the tongue depressors. So we actually had some in the room because we had different colored ones. We were working on color to pick them up, grab them, whatever. We had different things on them. And he was having a rough day. Well, let me be honest. He was having a rough couple days. And I'm like, we just need something that he can try and hold and try and blow on his own. Maybe that'll help, because we were trying everything else. And so I just grabbed a feather, grabbed the tongue depressor, wrapped an elastic band to hold it, and we put it in his hand and we had him blow on it all day. And it actually became, through the year, he kept it kind of beside him at all times. And you'd see him pick it up and he'd be and make the feather move. We just say, make the feather move. And we did that. He'd pick it up. We did it when we noticed his emotions or his behaviors were starting to escalate. And we'd say, pick the feather up. And he'd be like, and you'd give him a couple minutes and he's usually good to go. And so that was our invention. I mean, for those of you who are assistive tech gurus, you may not want to have me admit that that was kind of assistive tech, but I gave it a shot. So, and it worked. Never say never. You never know what's going to work till you try it. Last thing I'm going to end on is their peers. This is probably one of the more important things when it comes to assistive tech of any kind. I am that person that when any of my kiddos had any sort of assistive tech, here's what I would say. If I need assistive tech for whatever it is in my life, I will see value in it when my peers and community see value in it, which means if I have a speech system, a speech device, a talk device, a communication device, do my friends and peers get to interact with me with that device also? Not just I push buttons and they just don't get to touch it ever. With well, his name was Jose, who had the stick, with the feather. His friends got to hold it and blow on it with him too. when kids see there's a purpose and other people have a purpose using the same assistive tech, it brings value to it. When other people use my Dynavox to communicate with me, that brings value to this for me. Now I see the connection we have, rather than I just use this, but you talk. You can also use this. I see that there's a value to this. Our kiddo with the arm crutches and the ankle supports and the leg braces, with help, we would let kids like see what it's like to use those crutches. And I'll never forget one little girl, she was like, wow, that's really hard to be able to walk with those. She goes, I can't imagine what he has to do every day. She's like, man. So it's interesting because now just being able to experience utilizing some of the assistive tech, even if I don't need it, because my peer needs it, it helps bring that closeness together with their peers and their community, which then if I see value in it, I will use it. Not just set it aside because I don't want to look different. I don't want to be embarrassed. I want to be different, or I just don't want to touch it. When other people show me that they can get a purpose out of it, I see value in it too. So just something to consider when you're looking through all that stuff and things like that. So I did the best I could get for you guys in like 45 minutes to an hour. I absolutely had a blast doing this presentation. It made me look at things that I always knew were there, but I guess I just never thought about them in the depth and how the effect was for a lot of my kids. It was just one of those things that, of course, we use assistive tech and behavior because we need to. Communication is what behavior is, and if I can't communicate, I'm going to have behavior. But this made me slow my life down and slow the world down and take a look at it in a deeper perspective, which I'm grateful for. And for all of those of you out there who are neck deep and knee deep in assistive tech, man, you guys keep doing what you do. Please, our kids, other people, other human beings need that help, need the ability, need that access, need that communication for better life, for better emotional outcomes, for better behavior outcomes. So I hope something made you think today. I hope something kind of just gave you another perspective on it. I appreciate everybody out there. Absolutely fantastic. Everybody keep doing what you do. It is a good day for a good day, even though it's raining. So with that, thank you all very, very much.
Thank you so much, Layne. Such wonderful information. I always learn some wonderful things from you. So thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a few minutes for questions. So if you have a question for Layne, if you will put that in the Q&A box so we can be sure and catch that. If you are following us on Facebook right now, you can put it in the comments and I'll be checking that as well. So please let us know. I did notice something in the chat, just a great comment in the chat box that somebody said that Ruler from Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence says that if you can name it, you can tame it. So when you can label your emotions, yes, then you can tame them. I thought that was
whoever
fantastic.
Said that in chat, yes.
So we'll take a few minutes for questions. So be sure and type your questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, so Roseanne, you said sometimes we're so in the weeds with our kids that we don't stop to think about a bigger picture. I'm going to be honest, I'm 32 years into this and this made me stop and think about the bigger picture. It's always, it's there, what you're doing and why you're doing it for the benefit of the kids, but it wasn't until you slow down and think about it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, this is an important topic for us to kind of talk about and to realize the importance of AT with behavior. So you're exactly right. And if you want any directions on the feather, the tongue depressor, and the elastic band, just let me know. I make good IKEA directions. You'll have 3 elastic bands left over.
Not seeing any questions just yet. So while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions, I always think of my key takeaway. And my key takeaway today was behavior is a marathon, not a sprint. So thank you for that, Layne. We all need that reminder. that it takes time. Things don't happen immediately, and it takes
does.
time. And that doesn't mean that what you're doing is not working. So thank you for that.
So there was a question in the question and answer about how do you
Yes.
get adults to use assistive tech in a kid's life. I think a lot of it is, I have to see it, like adults need to see what the purpose of it is and why. Sometimes adults are just told, here, just do this with the kid, or here's the kid's communication device, da 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 da. I think what has to happen is we have to do a better job of, if I have this kiddo in my class, and I'm going to be honest, I had amazing people in my career that were very good, like my special ed teachers when I taught gen ed. They were awesome about, this is why this kid has this. This is why we need to use it. And this is how, because there were some things like my first Dynavox, I'm like, what is this? And I actually was pushing buttons with the kid trying to figure it out. So I think a lot of sometimes is just the not knowing. You're just told to use it. And then unfortunately, we adults are notorious for it. When you're told what to do, you don't really like it much. So I'm just being honest. Welcome to behavior. So it's about getting the adults and getting the people around the child to understand why. When you understand why something's being done, then the what is easy. But if you're just told what to do and no one tells you why, odds of it being done to fidelity are going to be pretty weak. So it's the why side of things, and how it's explained to somebody sometimes is important. So use a communication device to communicate to the adults how to do communication devices the right way. Oh, that should be a book chapter.
I love it. We have another question. Do you have any tools, techniques, or ideas that could help a high school student? They're expressing negative anger through emails to teachers. So any ideas or thoughts on that?
So they express their negative anger in an email to the teacher?
Yes.
I mean, the fact they're expressing negative emotions without like tearing someone up is a huge milestone for any human being. I would say if they're using email and that's their outlet for a negative emotion, always have an editor before they send it. Like always have mom and dad or another teacher let the dust settle, review it. It's what we adults have to do in the real world. You ever type that angry email and you let it sit for a day or two and then you go back? It's the same process. I think that an outlet is great. If I have an outlet for my negativity and for my anger, if it's appropriate, which emails, if I can't talk or can't communicate well verbally, emails are a great outlet. But I also, just like when I'm talking, I need a check and balance with somebody. Somebody's got to teach me the check and balance and how to look at this differently. And I would say have a check and balance in place for that kiddo before the send button gets pushed. So, I mean, I think that's great. If you're able to express negativity and get it out, that's better than holding it in and letting it fester and sit there. But like all of us, regardless of disability, when we have that anger, we have that negative emotion we're trying to push out, we have to have somebody who's good for us to be a filter for us too, just to make sure. So how long in general do you try certain tech before moving to the next? That's a good question, because it depends on the tech you're using and the kiddo that you got. What I think the important part is whatever tech or whatever assistive tech you're going to use, it is taught in little pieces, like little bits at a time to get to where you need to go. I am notoriously irritated, if you want to know the truth, when I show up and a kid's got this massive communication device, like I said, with 1,000 things on it, and they can barely answer yes. And they can't find it, and they can't, it's when it's that way, it's too much. We need to start paring back and looking at how to, what's the most important thing we need to teach first, and then keep adding to it. So
absolutely. We are running out of time. There are a couple more questions in the chat box. So I'm gonna ask one final question and then we're gonna wrap up. And so any suggestions for helping high school students stay on task?
So actually, I just read an article about that. and it's something I do with the brain studies. Here's the only way to get almost any brain to stay on task. It's got to be fun and engaging. There's a filtering system every brain has, and that filtering system it's like a screen door that sits around the human brain. And through the brain research, it's the reticular activating system is kind of the technical term for it. And what it is, it's a screen door around the human brain. That screen door does not open nor allow anything through unless it is novel and it is fun and interesting. Being novel, being fun and interesting actually lowers that filtering system immediately so you can get information directly to the brain. If my brain does not perceive what's coming from you as fun and interesting, it doesn't filter through properly and learning doesn't occur. And then I don't stay on task. I don't have the ability to do so. If the tasks are too long and not enjoyable, think about it, everybody in here. It's why we all hate chores. Ooh, let's go vacuum the house. Woo! No, but I'll be able to vacuum a room today, maybe a room tomorrow. So it's the same thing. And I'll be honest with you right now, in our education system, we got to get instruction back to being fun and exciting and just enjoyable. The human brain doesn't learn it otherwise. And I will not stay on task for something that is boring. If I find it the least bit boring, the brain actually has a shut-off mechanism. And so there's lots of things to look at in that. And we're seeing a lot of this right now from all of our kids. And that's probably a whole nother training I could probably talk about. So yeah.
Layne, thank you again. Such fantastic information. We really appreciate you taking time, delving into this topic and sharing with us. I know I am taking things away that I can share with other parents and our staff. And so thank you for that. So as we're wrapping up, let me share my screen one more time. And I want to thank you all again for joining us for the webinar. As a reminder, a recording of the webinar will be available on our website at prntexas.org and also on our Facebook page. If you're needing a certificate of attendance, you will be receiving an email to thank you for attending today's webinar. Follow the link in that email and you can get your certificate of attendance. So Layne kicked off our fantastic lineup of webinars for the spring. So we're excited for this. So coming up, some of our other webinars. On January 31st, we have got dispute resolution in special education with people, with representatives from TEA joining us at 12:15. This one will be available in English and Spanish. Coming up on February 13th, we've got Complaints 101, How to Resolve Disputes in the Special Education Process with Tabitha Dwyer from Disability Rights Texas. Also on February 27th, we've got Using Cadre Resources to Support Your Child's Self-Determination Skill Development with some people from Cadre, the Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution in Special Education. On March 5th, we've got Preparing for Higher Education. What do I need to start doing now? With Kelly Majewski from Texas A&M University Post-Secondary Programs. On April 9th, we have got Empowering Parents, Practical Sensory Supports for the Home with Andrea Webb with Region 10 Education Service Center. And then we're going to wrap up our spring semester with Strategies and Tips to Avoid the Summer Slide with Michelle Simmons from West Texas A&M University on May 7th. So we've got some fantastic webinars. You can go to our website at prntexas.org to register for any of those or scan any of the QR codes. On the screen is contact information for our Director of Statewide Services, Christina, our support specialist, Chelsea, and myself. Please be sure and check out our website at prntexas.org for more information about our upcoming webinars and events in your local regions, as well as a lot of information for you as parents. And you can like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at PRN Texas. So thank you again, Layne. Always a pleasure to have you join us and share your information, your wealth of knowledge with us. So thank you, and thank you all for joining us again.
Stay dry and stay warm.
I think we got the dry part in the panhandle. Not
here.
So much, but
Yeah. All right, y'all. You take
dry.
care. Everybody, it's been a pleasure.
Layne.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
You too. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, anytime. It was fun, as always.
It was fantastic. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us.